Hello and welcome back, folks. This is Arno once we're again. We're finally getting around to doing the review of the Liber Holy Knight, or Liber Holy Knight, depending on how you like to say it. This right here is part of Bandai's new 30-minute mission line, the called 30-minute fantasy series. Basically a new model kit line, basically about knights, mages, archers, basically all RPG-esque, like with classes and whatnot. This right here is a model kit. I did the unboxing a couple days ago back, and now we're finally getting around to doing the whole review. But without a way, folks, let's get down right on with the review of the Liber Holy Knight. And we're back, and now we have here the Liber Knight in its base form, or it's called the silhouette form. Basically, it is the initial form of the armor of the model kit before it gets all of its armor on. I can see right here, this model kit is basically filled with hard points you can attach everything onto. Basically, if you have anything with a 3mm peg point that you can attach onto it, you can, as it's got the hard points everywhere on the arms, on the back, waist, legs, side of the legs, basically anything you want. You can make your knight basically also modernized too, which you could probably also add some Gundam stuff too. You also could add a lot of the 30-minute mission extra weaponry, which is what I'm going to do as well as a future later customizations for this. And this thing is very pulsable. It's one of the things about this, which we'll see, which I'm going to do like a little bit more of the articulation here right now instead of later in the video, just because in its base form it basically has all this posability. I'll probably also do it once we get more and more of the armor add-on. But you can see right here, this is the silhouette form for this, and eventually we'll get to the class change or the armor upgrades to its first class, which will be the Liber Knight. And also down here in the menu as well, it will show you what this is talking about with the armor cross, basically the ability to customize your knight however you want. Basically, it's called job change to swap the armors out, as you can see right there. And also, you see another of the armors option set that you can get as well, which you can get this one right now, which I'm going to be getting this one hopefully soon, so I can change mine, so I could modify this and customize this however I want to the paladin version of this. But the final form, of which we already saw in the beginning of the video, will be the Liber Holy Knight, which we already did see a little bit of, and we'll see more of near the end of the video. But with that out of the way, let's go with a little bit of the articulation for the Liber Knight. Okay, now going with the articulation, going with the head right here, as you can see right here. As it is on a ball joint, 360, no problem at all. And it's basically not just ball joint for the head, it's also ball joint here as well. That's also movable. The neck's actually able to move back and forth as well, so you got more posability right here. So it's actually able to move more, a lot more back and forth than before, which I actually do love. Like, so this is something I wish we could see a lot with more Bandai Gunpla and everything else, but hey, it's still great either way. The 30-minute mission line, I think, has been one, for me personally, has been one of Bandai's, I think, best ideas that they've done. Like, no offense to the Gunpla, like, I love my Gundams and all that, but 30-minute mission lines have just been a very fun thing of just basically just customizing whatever you want with almost no limitations. Something Gundams kinda have a little bit of limitations, since a lot of them are already prep base forms, and most of the 30-minute mission kits and stuff are basically, yes, they have their base forms, but you can just basically change the armor out and basically modify it however you want. Which I will say back then, like during 2014 all the way to like 2018, 2019, when Bandai had like the old, with the high grades, when they brought up like with the original build strike and whatnot, they had the ability to swap out parts and customize them. Now that's been lost. The high grades can still do it, but just a lot of them just getting new joint difference, which is kind of making them a little bit difficult to like customize. I mean, if you still can customize them, but what's it called? But it's kind of like Bandit's getting a little bit harder with modifying all the joints for a lot of the high grades now, instead of like back then. Back to the articulation for this. The arm can go spin around. I can go all the way up, down. No problem at all. The arms can spin right here because it is spinnable right there. Its elbow joint can go all the way there. Sorry about a little bit rant. Hand right here. Posable. And also another thing too about the hand, if you ever have a Figma or whatnot, or at least know what I'm talking about with the arm joints, it's basically kind of like that, where it's the up and down on that. That's not that bad, so I can go up and down, no problem at all. Then on the ab joints, because this thing's like triple ab joint, so you got like joint right here, middle joint right there, and then leg joint right there. So this thing's it's got pretty good ab joints going up and down, no problem at all. Spin around, pretty good. And then because these are on peg joints, I could do a split mostly. If we can get it right. Ooh, just gotta make sure this guy can do a split perfectly fine without falling. Nah, you can do it just a little bit crass, but if you get it right, you could probably you could definitely get the split in there. No problem at all. But it's still good. Legs able to go all the way up, and unlike with a lot of model kits, it can go all the way back because it doesn't have a butt flap, which is something a lot of model kits, a lot of Gunpla have, which is basically the backside has like most model kits have like a backside right here which blocks being able to do it. Most of the time the leg could always mostly do this, but because this doesn't have that yet, it can all the way go in the back, which is actually pretty good. Then its legs able to go bend all the way there, no problem at all. It's got double jointed legs right there. With that right there, so I can go all the way back. Then its legs able to spin around because it's got two pinpoints right there. It's got a peg right there, so it can spin around like that. And the feet right there is able to spin around and go up and down. So overall, pretty nice. So this thing has pretty good articulation. You pretty get put into almost any pose however you want, which is what you want with model kits of these kind, which is always pretty good. And what I do love about this, like legit, you can get this guy into a lot of good poses that you want, like bender bound, like this and that. Overall, looking pretty good. Like look at that. It's like he just falls into that form however you want, and you can put him back up, back to regular form right there with no problem at all. Overall, articulation pretty good. Probably better than most definitely better than most model kits, or at least a lot of Bandai's Gunpla. Because I know maybe most of the modern ones, yes, but there's some times where the arms and legs are usually blocked by bulky pieces of armor or whatnot. But then again, this right now is basically its base form, so it doesn't have any bulky armor. We'll see right now the articulation once we add the Class 1 Liber Knight armor. So without the wait, let's swap into the new armor, Liber armor. And now we're back, and now we have the Liber Knight fully armored right here. Now we have weapons added onto it. Now we see the regular base sword for it, or the Liber sword, and the Liber shield, which is actually a very sick shield. Actually, not gonna lie, when it compares to like a lot of high grade shields, this thing is actually very sick. I can see right there the thickness is almost like 2 inches, like an inch and a half right here. And then we have the armor itself. Let's take off the weaponry so you can see the full armor itself. The armor itself is actually pretty not bad. Actually not gonna lie, I kind of actually prefer this without adding all the gold stuff. I kind of actually prefer this as is. But then again, that's also me and my Dark Souls, Elden Ring kind of style, because that's kind of how I kind of have my character, which just most of the base armor as is. Like what we have here added now, we have like the full knight helmet added onto it, like with the faceplate and stuff, and we have like kind of like the Centurion hoplite headgear right here. You see right here, and we have like collar armor with shoulder stuff. Then we have actually that reminds me, I actually forgot to add back armor too. I was gonna be like, what am I forgetting here? I think we have a little bit of back armor that we can add. Wait, that's how we can add this here. Never mind. I don't know where that came from. I saw we could add this. Oh wait, no. That's actually no. Sorry about this. This actually adds on to over here, but I kind of forgot about that. This is like the armor, the base armor for this, but I already have the current armor for the Liber Holy Knight, but it's fine. Then we have the shoulder pauldrons here, which actually is 2 parts here. The shoulder pauldrons, which I actually do like, are attached to the back armor, so basically you could like hook them on like this, and they slide out like that. So basically the shoulder itself really doesn't have an armor, it's just basically just shoulder itself, which I really do like the concept of this. Kind of wish more high grades would have this, but then again, this concept is kind of more towards like the knight stuff than high grades. But this is also the thing where sometimes I wish high grades had like double armor, so basically like, would have like the shoulder and then the armor itself added onto it. But I could understand how sometimes that could be a little bit finicky, but that's kind of my thing. Either way, the armor itself looks pretty great. Most of it's like the elbow armor, you can see right here for the arms, torso, everything else. Also, talking about the waist armor here, it's also same thing as the torso, shoulder armor, where basically side skirts are basically back here as well, kind of glide in where they pop out. So it's side, so it can be free here. The armor piece for the front side is like a little bit like that. Then the knee armor itself, it's actually double knee armor here, as you can see right here. It's where the peg points where the purple pieces are at. So basically you attach the knee armor first, then you attach the bigger one on here so you can have them all there. pretty nice. Then you have the little feet armor right here. Kind of reminds me, it's like 3 armor shields right there. Overall, yeah. Not gonna lie, I really kind of do like leaving my, what's called, Liber Knight kind of like this. That's also because once I'm done doing this whole review and whatnot, I am going to be customizing this. I'm going to be adding a whole lot of new armor pieces that I have. Some of the other pieces are the other 30-minute mission pieces that I do have from the Samurai one. Plus also from the Dragon Samurai one, if I remember correctly last time. It was one of the option sets. But overall, I kind of do like my Liber Knight as is. But we're going to be adding and converting it to the Liber Holy Knight in a second. So without further ado, let's get on to... Before we get on to converting it to the Holy Knight, let's actually check the articulation for this. With now the added armor on here, it's going to be a little bit more bulky, but the head can still do 360 and bulb and joint, no problem at all. The arm, it's a little bit blocked, but you can move the shoulder pauldrons back, so the arm can actually go back and forth, spin mostly around. Just gotta move the shoulders a bit, now with the added armor shoulder, so its shoulder movement's kind of limited. You can't spin around without, hitting the shoulder armor, but it can still mostly do it, just do it by an angle. The arms are still on that double joint, so you can still technically do it, so no problem at all. The hand joint's really not hindered at all. Can still move up and down a little bit. With the added new armor piece right there, kind of does a little bit blocking, but not too much. I can still do a little bit up and down, which what you want, and spin around, so you still get that. The ab joints are still there, so you still get all that movement of all 3 points of the ab joint there. And you can still spin around, no problem at all, unlike with some other stuff too. And if you're getting a little bit blocked, you can always move the side shoulder pieces to the side to get more movement, no problem at all. And now time for the legs. Since the armor can actually move, so you can still technically do splits. It's called, you can still go all the way front, no problem. And you can still go all the way back because these are side armor, so it's actually not blocking the backside, which is still pretty great. Like right here, still has this double articulation right there, so it can still bend all the way there, no problem at all. Really, nothing has changed, so your articulation is still pretty great, still pretty moving. That's actually what I do like about this. That even with the added armor, its articulation still is not being hindered, which is pretty good. It's what I want with my model kits. Basically, you can add a whole lot of armor and still be able to move and bend however you want. No problem at all. And I can do my Dark Souls Elden Ring poses right there. That right there is a really nice pose. Now all I gotta end on, the only thing I can do right now with this pose, basically add like a little bonfire right here, and it'd be golden. I could probably do some editing with that. Now, on to the next armor class change, the Liber Holy Knight. And now we have the Liber Holy Knight, not fully complete, and back to its original form as we saw it back in the beginning of the video. Overall, not gonna lie, I will say the adding of the gold armor is actually pretty nice. The things they actually do is besides the sword and shield, basically adding the gold pieces back on here, which is basically the hard points you saw before. You get the shield armor, which gets onto it nicely, which actually modifies the shield and makes it look much more better instead of being plain. The sword as well, having the ability to have like the extended gold armor stuff to make it look pretty good. Everything else you basically just attach onto it. You basically get a gold armor for the kneecaps right here. You get gold armor piece to attach on the front side. You also get gold armor for the back sides, for the bottom waist and the back. Gold armor plating on the wrist. You can see right here on the arms. You can see right there. The shoulders actually do get replaced. Before, the pauldrons had just like regular white and whatnot. Now the pauldrons add the gold onto it, so basically just swap them out. Let me show you right there. Just pop out really easily if this thing decides to pop out, and it doesn't want to. Don't worry, I can get this off. Boom, you can see right there. That basically just pops off right there. And that's the armor right there, no problem at all. You just pop it back in. And basically that's the armor change. So basically you go from just basically regular pauldron to now spiky gold pauldron. And the face gets replaced too. You replace like the knight face guard that had like the multiple lines. You actually attach onto like a little armor piece right there into the head right there, and attach the, I guess it's V-fin or horn. And I'll make it a Holy Knight, which actually looks pretty good. Kind of reminds me a lot of the Lancelot Albion. Or, damn it, there was another anime series that had like robots, model kit robots. which I think Bandai also made model kits of too. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Where one of the figures, one of the knight figures, actually look like this as well. But regardless, kit still looks pretty great. Now let's see if actually its articulation still holds up too now with the added armor, which I mean it should. Like the only thing the armor probably had would be a little more bulkiness. But like we said before, head can still go 360, no problem at all. Bob and weave, no problem at all. The armor can still be moved around like this, just slide it to like there so you can have the movement. And like I said before, now with the armor added, you gotta move the arm to the side to be able to like do the whole spin around. Arm's able to go up and down, no problem at all. Still got its double joint, despite the fact that it's got new added armor onto it, which is perfectly fine. And still able to spin around, no problem at all. You can see right there. Perfectly great. Torso articulation, still the same as always. There's really nothing gets added onto it besides the torso, the gold piece of the armor, and the little blue plastic piece right here, and the torso piece right here. It doesn't hinder it at all, as it's like triple joints. Torso's able to move, still spin around, no problem at all. Leg armor pieces. The only difference now is like the gold pieces on the front side of the skirt, front and back of the skirt, kind of now makes it. Can I actually make it hold the pose much more better? Actually, yeah. With the added support of the new front piece, it actually is able to stand on its when it's doing its splits once it's cold. But because of the new armor piece right here, its front side movement does kind of go a little bit, kind of moves like a little bit to left and right because it's kind of blocking it. Backside still perfectly fine, no problem at all. I can still do its double joint on the legs right here because, like I said before, the armor doesn't affect the backside of it, which is perfectly fine. Still have movements on the legs, and overall pretty great. The articulation is still there regardless of the armor added onto it, which is actually pretty great. Which actually, not gonna lie, is making me love this kit more and more. Kind of wish more model kits can actually do this. Especially with Gundam model kits, because I know a lot of them still can kind of do this, but there's others that can't because a lot of them are too bulky or have too much armor that tends to block the articulation for that. But overall, yeah, model kit is fantastic. Looks pretty great. I actually do like this. It's gonna be sad that I'm gonna be customizing this into. I'm not gonna be. It's not gonna get sad about it. If anything else, I'll just buy more. I am definitely gonna be buying more of these. Just like I have like an army of like different knight units, so I can have like a whole team of knight units myself. Whereas my main one, which I'm going to be customizing this one into, is going to be a Dragon Knight one. Basically, I'm going to try to get as close to the Red Dragon Emperor armor from High School DxD as possible. I already do have a little bit leg up on that. I'll do a little bit show this of the Dragon Gauntlet right here. This is actually another piece from another of the 30-minute mission set from the Samurai. It was either from the Samurai or Ninja one, I forget. Which I'll be adding some of those armor pieces onto this as well. But this modification, I'm not done with this yet. I was doing just the base coat for this, but you can see where I'm going with this with the gauntlet. That will be attached onto this right here for the armor right here. But I'm not using this. There we go. As I'll be attaching this onto this and basically modifying this to make like the whole Red Dragon Emperor armor. Eventually, when I ever get around to it. Right now, I'm probably gonna just do another base coat of the shield. But that's a little project I'm going to be doing later down the line that this will be changed to customizing to. Though I will start probably buying more of the armor sets just so I can get as close as possible. Now with final thoughts. And with that, alright folks, that is it for the review for the Liber Holy Knight. Overall, a really fantastic kit. I really do love the whole armor change and abilities for this. This 30-minute fantasy line that Bandai is doing for the 30-minute mission series is really, really great. I can't wait to get more of the different ones. Like, I'm going to get the Rosen Knight eventually later. I'm going to get more of the option sets later. I can't wait for the Mage and Archer ones and the Berserker ones to come out as well. Those should be coming out hopefully either by the end of this month or the beginning of next month. What's it called? This kit's fantastic. The articulation for this is pretty great. Like I'll say, way better than a lot of more other high grades model kits that we usually see. The armor class customization is pretty great. I do love the whole RPG-esque gimmick for this. Basically, the fantasy line is basically about that. Basically becoming an RPG character however you want, and the ability to basically customize this however you want is pretty great. I'll be, as you can see before, I'm going to be doing my own customization for this. This one right in the future will be becoming a Dragon Knight. So wait for that when I eventually do that review and whatnot, when I ever get finished to that one. overall, I really do love this. Articulation is pretty great. Design-wise, it's pretty good. Accessories, because this is basically the whole kit itself. So basically, because this is a regular Liber Knight, which is basically just the silhouette form with the class 1 armor, the class Liber Knight armor. This one right here is the whole thing, adding on to the Holy Knight armor as well. So you get all 3 in 1, which is pretty great. The price for this was $30, which is not bad at all. Granted, when it comes to accessories, it's only the sword, the base sword and shield, which is not bad. But when you talk about the armor itself and the added Holy Knight armor, which is the gold pieces right there, I think it's still pretty great. If you do see this on shelves or you want to get this, I do recommend it. It's pretty great. And the fact that you customize it however you want to make your own, basically, knight character, or whatever RPG character, however you want it, like you do in like almost any game, like Skyrim or Elden Ring, Dark Souls, and etc. I say go for it. This is a very, very fun project. This will be a fun project. I just want to make your own customization of this, which this gives you the opportunity to do. And I know it will be giving me opportunities in the future when I get around doing them. But with that way, folks, that is it for the review of the Liber Holy Knight. Once again, a very fantastic kit, and I do recommend to get it. Places to get it, anywhere, like I mentioned before, any of my usual sites, like Amazon, Gundam Planets, any hobby store that you probably have it around there, bandai store, etc. And the price for this one is usually like around $30 for this one, because this is like the whole package of the base unit, the class 1 armor, and the class 3 armor. But yeah, that is it for the review. And if you like the video, consider dropping like, share, and subscribe. It's always appreciated, folks. And as always, have a nice day. This is I, Power signing out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.